Number 1. Waterbury cop fired for berating driver during traffic stop. A police officer was dismissed from the Waterbury police force after a video emerged showing him aggressively scolding a driver while directing traffic last month. James Hinkle, a former officer with the Waterbury Police Department, lost his composure when a woman driving an SUV ignored his instructions to stop and drove through an intersection. Officer Hinkle accused the driver of attempting to run him over. He caught up to the driver on foot and demanded that she pull over to the side of the road and then into a parking lot, as shown in his body camera footage. In the footage, Hinkle can be heard shouting,
"We're in this parking lot right now. Pull over! Pull over now!" Did you not see this bright yellow vest standing in the middle of the street? No! This means stop! This means stop!
Once the woman reached the parking lot, the officer continued to berate her while she apologized profusely and explained that she hadn't realized she was supposed to stop.
And then you still drove by me!
She mentioned that she was on her way to Target. Officer Hinkle shouted at her, questioning why she had tried to run him over despite him standing in the middle of the street while flashing lights. The officer even threatened to handcuff her. Throughout the encounter, Officer Hinkle repeatedly interrupted the driver as she tried to explain herself. He insisted that it was not an accident, but rather her irresponsibility. Following an internal investigation, Officer Hinkle was fired for his conduct. The investigation concluded that Hinkle had violated department policies. The driver's identity was not disclosed, and although she initially received a ticket, it was later dropped. The Waterbury Police Chief, Fernando Spagnolo, condemned Officer Hinkle's behavior toward the driver, deeming it unacceptable, not reflective of the professionalism expected from officers in the department. Chief Spagnolo also expressed deep concern during a press conference, stating that in his 30 years of service, he had not encountered a case that had eroded public trust to such an extent as Officer Hinkle, who had served in the department for 7 years, has the option to file a grievance over his termination. The police department's union stated that it was reviewing the incident with their legal counsel to ensure that Officer Hinkle receives all the rights afforded to him under the collective bargaining agreement. Officer Hinkle, who was part of the patrol division, has been placed on administrative leave before his dismissal. Although the officer was verbally abusive to the woman, thankfully, things didn't go too bad. However, in our next case, 2 cops become physically aggressive with a driver during a traffic stop. Number 2. Georgia cops fired for punching a motorist. In response to the release of videos depicting the assault of a handcuffed black motorist, 2 police officers in Georgia have been terminated. Officer Robert McDonald and Sergeant Michael Bongiovanni were relieved of their duties less than a day after the footage surfaced. The videos, captured by witnesses, vividly show Officer McDonald assisting Sergeant Bongiovanni, a 19-year-old veteran, kicking Demetrius Hollins while he was restrained on the ground.
McDonald shows up to assist with the arrest. McDonald then runs up and stomps the helpless handcuffed Hollins.
Reports also say that Sergeant Bongiovanni punched Mr. Hollins in the face as he exited his vehicle with his hands raised. Following the emergence of the footage, the Gwinnett County Police Department initiated a criminal investigation into the incident. According to the police report, Sergeant Bongiovanni had pulled over Mr. Hollins during a routine traffic stop, citing the absence of a license plate and the vehicle's failure to stop upon request as the initial reasons for the stop. The sergeant claimed to have detected the odor of marijuana and observed Mr. Hollins behaving erratically and heard him repeatedly cry out for his mother. The report further states that Mr. Hollins allegedly resisted arrest, refusing to place his hands behind his back when ordered to do so. As a result, he was tased and eventually handcuffed on the ground. Sergeant Bongiovanni's report also mentioned a prior encounter with Mr. Hollins during a traffic stop, alleging that he had attempted to reach for a loaded firearm under his seat. However, a subsequent investigation into the incident uncovered that most of Bongiovanni's report consisted of lies and false information. Both officers were questioned by the police department, with Officer McDonald acknowledging his wrongdoing in kicking Mr. Hollins. However, Sergeant Bongiovanni was dismissed not only for his actions, but also for providing false information in his incident report. Expressing shock at the revelations uncovered during the investigation, the Gwinnett County Police Department released a statement emphasizing the importance of their decisive action. Police Chief Butch Ayers highlighted that the discovery of the second video enabled them to swiftly terminate a supervisor who had lied and violated both training protocols and the law. He acknowledged the significant impact of the officer's actions, while affirming the department's commitment to upholding the expectations associated with wearing a Gwinnett County police badge. Chief Ayers conveyed his dismay at the footage and the behavior exhibited by his officers, remarking that the department had invested substantial resources in recruiting, training, and equipping them. He emphasized that such conduct went against their teachings in the academy and emphasized that it would not be tolerated. The officers got what they deserved for their terrible actions. Up next, we've got a story of a school police officer taking down a 12-year-old girl. Number 3. Cop fired for body slamming student. The San Antonio Independent School District has terminated the employment of school police officer Joshua Kem after a video emerged showing him body slamming a 6th grade girl. The incident, which took place at Rhodes Middle School last month, sparked public outrage and led to a thorough investigation. Superintendent Pedro Martinez expressed his concerns about the incident. While we understand that physical responses may be necessary in certain situations, we firmly believe that the level of force used in this particular incident was completely unjustified. He further criticized Officer Kem's delayed and inconsistent report, which contradicted the evidence captured on video. Mr. Martinez emphasized that such behavior would not be tolerated within the district. The student involved in the incident, 12-year-old Janissa Valdez, shared her account of the events in interviews with local news outlets. She explained that she and another student had planned to discuss alleged comments made about her, but as more students gathered, Officer Kem misinterpreted the situation as a potential fight. Janissa clarified that she was merely urging the other student to relocate due to the growing crowd. Although the school district did not officially disclose the identity of the student in the video, Janissa's family confirmed that she was the one involved. The footage, which recently surfaced on YouTube, depicted Officer Kem struggling to restrain Janissa from behind while her peers called out for her to calm down. The officers then forcefully threw her to the ground, causing a loud impact as her head hit the brick pavement.
Janissa, chill! Oh! Janissa, you okay?
The crowd reacted with shock and fell silent as the officer proceeded to handcuff Janissa, lift her, and escort her away, with a concerned student gently touching her shoulder. After the video circulated on social media, the school district initiated a formal investigation conducted by district police and administration. The incident has sparked significant criticism, with Judith Brown Dianis, co-director for Advancement Project, a civil rights organization, denouncing the treatment of a 12-year-old student involved in a verbal altercation as unconscionable and highlighting the urgent need to remove police officers from schools. Ms. Dianis expressed concern about the recurring pattern of police brutality affecting students of color. However, Officer Kem also garnered support from certain individuals. Following the district's announcement of his termination, the group Blue Lives Matter reported that students at the school wore white t-shirts as a show of support. The group explained on Facebook that Officer Kem had subdued a violent student by taking her to the ground and had been given the choice to resign or be fired after a brief investigation. Officer Kem, however, opted not to resign, ultimately leading to his termination by the San Antonio Independent School District. Superintendent Martinez clarified that Officer Kem's dismissal was based on the district's determination that his use of force was unwarranted. Additionally, Officer Kem's failure to report the incident to the district as required when students are restrained further contributed to his termination. Mr. Martinez also addressed the issue of staff intervention, revealing that an assistant principal had been placed on paid leave pending an impartial investigation to ensure public trust. Charlie Wilkeson, executive director of the Combined Law Enforcement Associations of Texas, pledged the group's support in Officer Kem's appeal against his termination, emphasizing the importance of upholding his rights. Superintendent Martinez, however, remains committed to conducting an unbiased investigation, prioritizing the well-being and safety of all students within the school district. It was pretty clear that the officer lost control of the whole situation, kind of like our upcoming story where a Florida cop attempts to choke a teen while detaining him. Number 4. Florida cop fired for choking teen. The Largo Police Department terminated one of its officers, Brian Laverna, following an incident involving the choking of a 17-year-old boy. The incident, captured in a viral social media video entitled "White Largo Florida Cop Chokes Black Teen," showed Lavornoy restraining the teenager by leaning him over the hood of a squad car with his hands around his neck. This restraint tactic, typically reserved for extreme situations, has sparked outrage and raised concerns about police conduct. Largo Police Chief Jeffrey Undestad expressed the department's commitment to maintaining a positive relationship with the community, stating, "We take great pride in the positive relationship the Largo Police Department has with our community. Actions like this are not acceptable and violate the public's trust, which every employee has worked so hard to earn." This situation warranted the former officer's termination. Lavornoy was responding to a battery call that involved a suspect who appeared to resemble the teenager in the video, allegedly assaulting a woman and making threats to harm someone with a firearm. According to a case report from the Largo Police Department, the video recording began with Lavornoy asking the teenager, "Do you have a problem with me?" In response, the teenager mimicked the question, to which the officer replied, "Yeah, I do." Lavornoy proceeded to threaten the teenager, stated, and even using profane and aggressive language. Livorno claimed in the report that the teenager had displayed aggressive behavior, justifying his actions as an attempt to gain compliance. He also maintained that the chokehold was brief and that he had used the minimal amount of force.
Reggie, hey, don't resist. Reggie, don't resist.
Do it. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, hey, no.
The internal investigation, however, concluded that Livorno had engaged in bullying, discourtesy, and rudeness, including the use of profane and insulting language or actions directed at another person. It also found that he had prematurely resorted to a chokehold. Livorno was terminated by the Largo Police Department just 2 months after the footage of the incident came in. If you want to support the channel and want to expose more corrupt cops, please subscribe as I upload them regularly.